Shi, and today we'll study the doctrine of renvoi. So I've already made the video on this topic in Hindi. If you want to see it, just click on the link here. And for now I'm dealing with this in English because Hindi is not everyone's first language, okay? Also, if I do any grammatical mistake, I'm really sorry. It's not my first language, so there might be some. Single renvoi or remission. In single renvoi, a judge of a country is faced with conflicting rules of his country and sends the case to the foreign country, but according to the law of that country, the case is referred back to his country and his country accepts sub-reference and applies the law of his country. What exactly happens here is that, for instance, let's suppose there is a couple, Mr. A and Mrs. B. Now they were married in France and they want to seek a divorce in an English court. Okay. Now the English court has to determine which law is to be applied, the French law or the English law. So in order to decide which which country's law to be applied, this doctrine is used. Okay. First, what the court does is first it looks into its own law, and if it thinks that their law will not apply and there is a foreign element involved in the case, then it refers the case to country B, whose foreign element is involved. Now, also this reference, this only happens in imagination. There's no such actual reference. It just the judge of country A imagines himself to in the position of country B and then determines whether the law of country B will apply or not. If the law of the country B will apply, then court will simply apply country B's law. Otherwise, the court will refer the case back to country A and country A will apply its own internal laws. Okay, so here the loop is simple, from country A to B and then back from country B to country A. This is what is written here. In single renvoi, a judge of a country is faced with conflicting rules of his country and sends the case to the foreign country. Okay. But according to the law of that country, the case is referred back to his country. And it is referred back to his country. And his country accepts sub-reference and applies the law of his country. Okay. Now, to understand this more clearly, you can understand this case. Forger's case, it is a landmark case. Let's see what are the facts of this case. This is Forgo. He was a Bavarian national. Okay. So his nationality was of Bavaria. But he died intestate in France. His domicile was that of France. Now the question before the court was which law to apply, whether it should apply Bavarian law or French law. The question before the French court was whether his movables in France should be distributed according to the internal law of France or of Bavaria. Collateral relatives were entitled to succeed by Bavarian law. If Bavarian law would have applied, his collateral relatives would have received the property. But if the French law would have applied, the property would pass to the French government. Okay. So as you can see, the effect of applying either of these laws, either Bavarian or France, is different. So it is a very important question to determine which law of the country will apply. French private international law referred the matter to Bavarian law since Forgo was Bavarian by nationality. Now the question came before the French court, and according to French law, the matters of succession of a deceased person is governed on the basis of nationality. Okay. Now what was his nationality? His nationality was Bavarian. So what the French court did was send the case to Bavaria. Okay. However, Bavarian private international law referred it back to French law, because according to Bavarian law, succession was governed by the law of the place where the deceased was domiciled, and in this case it was France. So now the Bavarian court, France referred it to Bavaria. According to Bavaria, the matters of succession of the deceased were to govern on the basis of domicile. Now what was the domicile? Domicile was French. So the court referred the matter back to the French court. The French Court of Succession accepted this referral and applied French law to the succession. This meant that under French law, the property passed to the French government rather than to Forgo's collateral relatives. Then, first France referred it to Bavaria, then Bavaria dwelled it into its law, and then referred it back to France. Then France at last applied its own laws. Okay, so as I had explained before, from country A to B and from country B back to country A, and then country A applies its own law. This is what happened in this case. There was a single loop from here to here and then from here back to here. Okay. This is an example of single renvoi where reference is merely from country A to country B and back from country B to country A. Okay, A to B, B to A. This is the doctrine of renvoi as appear in its simplest form. So this was the doctrine of renvoi, single renvoi. Okay, a single loop is created here. Now, the key characteristics of single renvoi is that there is only one back and forth reference. The court of the original jurisdiction, France, accepts the referral back from the foreign jurisdiction, Bavaria, and applies its internal law. What has happened here is that only a single back and forth reference from here to here and then back from here to here. So here you can see only a single loop is created. The court of original jurisdiction, France was the court of original jurisdiction because the court came in front of France, accepted the referral back from the foreign jurisdiction, which was Bavaria. And also always keep this in mind that it never happens in real, the case does not transfer from here to here. It happens only in the mind of the judge. Okay, he imagines himself to be in the position of the Belgian judge, and according to that decides whether the law of Belgium will apply or not, whether the Belgian law will apply or not. Conclusion: in single renvoi, the loop is simple. One referral back to the original country, which then applies its own internal law. The foreign law, Bavarian law in this case, is only consulted to confirm its reference to the case back. Now what this paragraph is saying is that the loop is very simple. Okay, you have already gone through this. Here it is written that only it is consulted, the law of the country B is only consulted to confirm whether the law of this country will apply or not. The court does not go into the details of this law. Okay, details is not considered in this case, in case of single renvoi. In double renvoi it will be considered, which you will study later, but for now in detail it is not considered. Okay, so I hope you understood this case and the whole doctrine. If you still have any confusion, please do comment, and thank you for listening. I'll soon upload the next topic, that is double renvoi. Thank you.